Greetings! I am Herbert Erpaderp, and it's time for Ask a Herbert Erpaderp, the video series in which a Herbert Erpaderp is asked questions and then provides answers. Today, I will be the Herbert Erpaderp, as usual. Hopefully my voice holds out for this one. It's a little bit fragile today. Last night I went and saw Sabaton and thus was obliged to sing along and so forth. It was an excellent show, as I expected it would be, and I would definitely recommend seeing them. They're so fun, and it's quite refreshing to see a band that smiles so much. My only disappointment was that the drum riser wasn't a tank, but the venue only has around a 1,500 person capacity, and they were supporting Amon Amarth, so it's understandable. Amon Amarth were really good too, but I was mostly there for Sabaton. In other news, for those interested in merch, I've finally gone and set some up. I decided to go with Teespring, which seems decent enough, and there's a link to my Teespring store in the description. Right now I have a shirt that says, "I apply pressure to minimise the gap," and a mug. I will add more stuff as I think of it. If you have any ideas or suggestions for stuff to put on shirts or whatever, I would be interested. Bear in mind that I don't have a whole lot of artistic skill. That might be enough rambling and self-promotion for now. Let's get to the questions. Some dude said, "Do you have any tips for clear parts?" Not really. I very rarely encounter them. I don't build a lot of planes and such. I would suggest you try to avoid touching them as much as you can, and maybe wiping away fingerprints as soon as possible. Avoid using superglue. The fumes will cause crazing. If you can, maybe test any of the glues you intend to use on them with a piece of clear sprue, if possible. PVA is apparently the standard for installing clear canopies and things like that, and that's about all I have on clear parts. Some dude, again, said, "How long does it take you to write a script? If you write one, that is." I write a script for pretty much everything I do that isn't a video game or a stream highlight, mostly because I'm horrendously forgetful, but I find doing so really helps and saves time in the long run. I don't really force myself to adhere strictly to the script though. It's a bit like a guide, so I make changes on the fly if I think it'll be better said in a different way, and things like that. As to how long it takes, it depends on what it is. Ask a Herbert Erpaderp can take a while, and it does take a little bit longer now that I share the modelling pictures at the end. The Q&A part can take up to an hour or so to do, depending on how many questions there are and how distracted I get. If someone shares a video or something and I spend time checking that out, that also adds to the time spent scripting, obviously. Also if I do some research, but if you've seen any of my videos you know that I very rarely bother doing any research. Modelling videos take a little bit longer. I like to do a rough edit of the video while I write the script to it, and that can take quite a few hours, again depending on how distracted I get. Smoes said, "Have you heard of a website called eModels? They have some good deals on Tamiya and other companies. I believe they ship international." I'm pretty sure I have actually come across this site in my travels. I don't remember what it was that I was looking for at the time, but they seem to have a lot of stuff. I remember looking at their international shipping information, and they actually give you a quote for the shipping costs that you don't have to accept rather than just a blanket shipping fee. That might be good or bad, I suppose, depending on what it is you're buying. But yeah, I have heard of them. Burner581 said, "What do you personally find the hardest colour to get right when painting your models? I personally am reluctant to paint bright yellow." Yikes. I'll definitely agree with the yellows. Yellows and reds can be pretty tricky to get looking good. For best results, I try to use a light coloured primer when I can. Otherwise I try to base coat them with a light grey. Top Bunk Productions said, "Have you heard of Warlord's Blood Red Skies? It looks like X-Wing but World War II themed, which sounds exciting." I have, and I was actually kind of tempted to get it, and I probably will eventually. It could be fun and planes are cool. Plaid Squid 41030 said, "Did you know that it says Gullible on the ceiling?" What? Where? I don't see it. Punky Ryan said, "What do you think of the Spitfire tour over the English Channel in the UK?" I have no idea about it. Is it some kind of special event thing? I did Google it quickly, but I didn't see anything like that. Though it does look like there are some things where you can actually fly in a Spitfire, and it looks really expensive. Which, well, it's not really surprising, is it? It sounds like a fun idea though. Plaid Squid 41030 said, "Any idea as to what kind of tank this is? See picture below." That's quite obviously a king tortoise. I've seen this before, but it's always entertaining and adorable. Sneaky Zaku said, "You have talked occasionally about model railways. Ever had a favourite locomotive? And why? The way it looks, its history, how it works, or perhaps another reason? And care to link a picture in the video too?" Mine is the J94 Wilbert, the first steam train I ever set foot on, and also named after the Reverend Wilbert who made the railway novels. Picking favourites is always kind of difficult. I do have a soft spot for the Queensland Railways PB15, being the first steam train I encountered and rode on, and C17, which is also a type of steam engine that I encountered a fair bit as a kid. I've always been kind of fond of British steam locomotives. Obviously I never got to ride on them or anything like that, having grown up in Australia, and I think I was too young or just not aware when the Flying Scotsman toured here, so I missed out on that too. I think picking favourites is too hard for me though. There are so many cool locomotives out there. Ratto said, "Have you planned on using burnishing fluids with those metal tracks?" Yeah, I definitely have been considering that. I'm not sure what I will actually be doing yet, but I think that would be interesting and something different to try. On last week's Ask a Herbert Erpaderp, Go Sentinel said, "Herbert, will you ever do a 1946 camouflage to the German King Tiger? If so, can you do it?" I don't know. I might. I'm not 100% sure what a 1946 camo entails. The war ended in 45, so it's really more of a what if and not really a specific camo scheme. I feel like there are a few schemes considered to be 1946 camo too, and it's not really something I know a whole lot on. I'm sure I can do it, it's just a matter of wanting to. I guess maybe I'll think a little bit more about it when it comes time to start painting another King Tiger. IS2 said, "I think you got to the 'why do I bother' point with that little tribal class destroyer." Maybe. I think I got more to the "why the fuck can't you just behave how you're supposed to? I'll kill you" point. Maybe that's a little bit beyond "why do I bother." Gumias Briada said, "Are you a good cook and do you enjoy it? What's a favourite food of yours?" I can be a good cook, I think, when I try. I usually don't bother trying anything fancy though, so I'm probably more of just a passable cook whose food you can eat without dying, probably. And I don't really enjoy cooking unless I'm actually in the mood for it. I would say pizza is probably one of my favourite foods because it's so versatile. I would say the most interesting thing I've cooked myself though was apple stuffed chicken breast. That was nice. I might do it again one day too. Sebel de Pebble, which is a great name, said, "Jihad Teppo wasn't talking about your beard." Oh my. Well, I would rather not violate terms of service. Darren Hedges said, "Glad to see you still here. Since watching your small tank builds, I have gone on to build 10 drag and 1/35th scale kits of German armour and am about to start the new Ryefield Panther. When I started watching, I was stuck in bed unable to concentrate for very long due to meds, so reading and watching TV sent me to sleep and I couldn't play World of Tanks all day. So big thank you. Only problem, the usual YouTube modelers take themselves way too seriously. I have run out of superlatives. I find it embarrassing trying to think of whether I said unique the last time I commended their efforts. Here's a kit well worth building. Revosys VK3601. It's the prototype that led to Tiger. It's a mix of all the Germany-looking tanks. Have fun." You are very welcome, and I'm pleased to hear that I might have been a help in some way. And I do agree that some modelling YouTubers, or people in general really, take themselves way too seriously. I mean, everyone's different, but I find the whole serious business all the time thing kind of wearing. I hope the Ryefield Panther goes together well. I did see the Andy's Hobby Headquarters video on it and it looks really good. I've never heard of Revosys or Revosys or Revosys, but I did Google their VK3601 and it looks rather good. Kind of expensive though, but it does look very good and it comes with an interior. Might be an interesting kit to build, it's just kind of hard to justify the cost of nearly $100. Though maybe it's cheaper elsewhere and I should probably keep my eye out for it. I do like the prototype tanks, they're interesting. And that concludes the Q&A portion of this week's episode. Time for models. DDG-70 USS Hopper shared this model of USS North Carolina. I'm not sure what scale this is, but this is a pretty good looking ship. Good work. Jihad Teppo shared some work on his 1/35th scale diorama. He says, "Say, does this look like Summer Ardennes 1944? I'm going to order some long grass and bushes and add long pine trees, but does this look convincing?" Also, here it is with his trumpeter Störer Emil. I can't say if it looks like the Ardennes in summer 1944. I mean, I was totally there, but I forget what it looked like. Yeah, that's it. I forget. It does look very good. He also did a bit of an image dump. Dump. And says ask about any model you fancy. So if you have any questions about these models, feel free to go into the Miniatures channel on Discord and ask away. Also, here's a Panther D being destroyed on that diorama. This is really cool. I like the fire. Max W shared an updated photo of his excellent little diorama. He's added some water pouring out of an overflow pipe. It's a little hard to see, but it is there, as you can see from the side in this photo, which is quite moody. Excellent work. Also, Max shared this weird little albatross he's building. Someone asked that people share their best work, and for Max that's a tie between this 46 Panther and this adorable little Jaguarundi. Jaguarundi? It's an amusing and interesting name that I'm probably saying all wrong. He also shared this delightful dino friend. Don't see many dinosaurs around here. This is pretty rad. Sneaky Zaku shared some locomotives. These are N-scale. I can tell by those huge couplings. Despite that though, they look very cool. Even the austerity locomotive, which is kind of ugly, but interesting to look at. Very nice. Sneaky Zaku also shared what he considered to be the best model he's painted to date. The commander for his Walker Bulldog. This is really some excellent work. The big boy shared this Airfix DO-17 in 1/72nd scale. I'm not sure if I've shared this one before or not, but it's quite nice. And so is this Airfix Zero. Some good results with Airfix models here, which despite my slight distaste for Airfix is pretty good to see. Top Bunk Productions shared this Panther A. This is a Tamiya model, and it was weathered with MIG pigments. This is some excellent work. General Spade shared some images of a recent game of bolt action he played. Fins, which were finished off by the Soviets. Gentleman has finished his Panther A. The track sag is off due to a lack of superglue, but that's okay. It can always be fixed later. Some people in the Discord channel pointed out some other improvements that could be made, like painting the machine gun and tyres. It's pretty good, and with those little details added it would be even better. Keep up the good work. Ratto shared this diorama for his dad's birthday. This is in the planning phase where nothing is glued down, but it's coming along nicely. Don't forget to keep us updated. Punky Ryan shared this Sherman Jumbo that has been fitted with an 88 from a Tiger. However, I would be worried about the back wall of the turret being smashed out by gun recoil. Have you considered maybe modifying it like they did with the Firefly, just to make it look a little bit more plausible? Either way, it's really cool. And that's all the modelling images for this week. A big thank you to everyone who has shared something and partook in the conversations. I'm looking forward to next week's batch of photos. And that's it for this week. As usual, if you have any comments or questions you would like me to answer on Ask a Herbert Erpaderp, put them in the comments section below or on Discord. And also do all the other things like subscribing here on YouTube, following me on social media, and watching me live stream on Twitch. And if you really like the things I do, please consider helping to support the channel over at Patreon. That would be rad. Links to all of those things and my new merch store in the description below. As always, I shall return soon, so until then, be excellent to each other and thanks for watching. Farewell.